All right, it's 6:30, so we want to go ahead and get started with this legislative breakout meeting after hours. We appreciate everybody coming out and logging on this evening. We've got, I think, a good lineup of things to cover during this session. We're going to allow Hunter Moorhead, our legislative consultant, to give everybody a brief of what's been going on in Washington, D.C. Then we're going to cover the PAC. We're going to talk about the Political Action Committee. And then we'll wind up and have a Q&A for Hunter, myself, and Neil. Because we may have some new people on the line, my name is Clint Bain. I am the NASCO Legislative Co-Chair. I serve along with Neil Burnett. Neil is the other co-chair for NASCO, and I can let everybody say hello to Neil. We serve in this capacity as co-chairs, and I think that's been going on for a little while. Not sure how long we've had co-chairs, but it is a large committee, a very active committee, as you see, and you will see as we proceed with this meeting. We're waiting on Hunter to come online and let him talk to you, but while we're waiting, we want to go ahead and get started with the meeting so we don't keep you any longer than the time that we've allotted. So that said, we're going to ask Annette Hyman, who is the Northeast Area Legislative Chair, to come on and talk to you about the PAC. In addition to being the Northeast Area Legislative Chair, she is also our PAC coordinator. And this is a very, very large job. She has to keep up with all the contributions, the numbers, and gives us a report monthly, sometimes weekly, and sometimes at the last minute when we're needing to put together a report. So we appreciate all the work that she does and continues to do for NASCO and especially the PAC.
Thank you, Clint. I'm going to give you a few numbers tonight. I hope that we have people listening from all of the different areas that we have. What I do at the end of the year is I compare two pay periods, one from 2019 and then the same pay period in 2020. So to give you a little bit of an idea, last year at pay period 15, we had 843 contributors for a total of $3,935 a pay period. That averages out to about $4.67 per contributor per pay period. So in pay period 15 of this year, we had 777 contributors for a total of $3,739. So even though we had less contributors, our average per pay period per person was a little higher, and that came in at $4.81. So as you see by the numbers, we lost 66 contributors, many of them due to retirements, some due to COVID, obviously. And then we were down about $196 per pay period. So I wanted to do a little bit of shout outs to some areas. You'll notice that the numbers for the 2020 year are in Neil and Clint's report. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of comparison, and I have to throw a congratulations out to the Northwest area. They actually went up 1%. They had 85 contributors last year, and they continued to maintain that. And they even continued to maintain that number of contributors with less members. So congratulations to the Northwest area. The Southwest area just went down a little bit. They lost quite a few members. They went to 20% versus 22%. Midwest area was at 11% in 2019, down to 10% this year. Northeast area had 19% and they slipped to 18%. Southeast area was at 20% in 2019 and they went down to 19%. So as you can see, even though our numbers stayed fairly consistent, we didn't lose a lot in each of that. And once again, even though our membership was down, so were the total number of employees that we had. So just wanted to give you that. The Pack It Up PowerPoint that you're going to see was put together by Jessie Colgrove from the Northwest area. And she is going to go through that real quick with you. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to just share a few results that we had due to the legislative leadership conference that we had last year that the legislative committee put on. So I'll throw it over to Jessie.
Jessie, you need to unmute yourself, please.
So close. Thanks, Neil. Can you see my desktop? Can you see my desktop, Neil? Great. Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, this is Jessie Colgrove. I'm the Northwest Area Ledge Chair, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about the PAC promotion. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you'll get some good information out of this session. We'll go ahead and dig into this a little bit with what we're offering you this year. So first, what is the PAC? What is a political action committee? The PAC in the United States is an organization that raises money privately to influence elections or legislation, especially at the federal level. And that's exactly what we do. Why do we need a PAC? Well, the PAC is the most effective way of ensuring that legislators who support the same views and goals of the association are elected or able to remain in office. We look to help representatives who look out for the best interest of FSA employees and our producers. So how can you help support the PAC? Sign up to donate. Every donation makes a difference and helps our legislative team to influence legislation that will benefit our members and oftentimes will benefit our producers as well. So what's in it for you? Think of the PAC as job insurance. This is just one way that you can help ensure your job security and benefits. This is the fun part, the promotion that we've got going this year. Members who make a contribution of $3 per pay period or increase their contribution by $3 will receive a PAC branded junior padfolio. This is a great size to slip into a purse or a laptop bag, and it comes with a notebook, and it is a really nice little item. Members who make a contribution of $5 per pay period or increase their contribution by $5 will receive a PAC branded laptop backpack. This is embroidered with a full color NASCO PAC logo. There's a laptop sleeve inside, and we looked very carefully at some different models as we chose this item because it was constructed very well and should last you for a long time. If you like both of those items and you want to make a contribution of $8 per pay period, we're going to give you both items. And then we know that there are some members out there who are already giving quite a bit of money, and we want you to know how much you are appreciated. So current donors who are already contributing in the double digits can receive a backpack for a $3 per pay period increase. So we're going to give you a little break on that in order to thank you for your contributions in the past. For more information, you can visit www.nasco.org, the NASCO PAC, and help us pack it up.
Thanks, Jessie. So as you can see, that was pretty exciting. We were excited to actually share that at the leadership conference, and we were quite shocked at the overwhelming response. So I just want to give you a couple more numbers. As you can see, numbers are my thing. We had 19 backpacks given. I don't want to say given away because obviously you enrolled with your contribution. So we had 19 of those. We had 14 padfolios, and we had a whopping 14 that got both. So that was phenomenal. And then we also had some of our pack it up cups, our tumblers that we had, and we had 3 people choose to get them. Now, as many of you know, we started that tumbler promo last for about 2 or 3 years, and we haven't had a conference or a national get together since then, but we did have 24 tumblers that we had increased or brand new contributions at last year's convention. So I wanted to put that in there as well. So you may be asking, what do we do now? Maybe you're brand new and you see this. Well, you can go to, obviously, the website. You're welcome to reach out to me. I am the PAC coordinator, and I will be processing those forms. Also, if you just want to reach out to your area Leg Chair, you're welcome to do that too. But I will continue on for a little bit longer in processing your contributions. So if you have any questions, just feel free to put them in the questions and we'll get to them in a little bit. So thank you.
So yes, that's a big job what Annette does. I had that for a couple of years, and we really appreciate what she does. And at this time, I'd really like to thank our whole committee. These guys work really hard, and they've been working behind the scenes. Well, they work behind the scenes all the time, particularly hard this week, helping us test software and make sure we're ready to go with this presentations today and for it to go off flawlessly. But then things happen. We're still trying to get Hunter hooked up and online, but while we're waiting on that, just want to make sure that everyone is aware that if you will go to the NASCO homepage, click on the legislative link, and under that there's a drop down for PAC. It will explain lots of information, more information about the PAC, how it's used, and all you have to do is there's a form on there that you need to complete. If you're a new contributor, there's an enrollment form. If you want to increase your contribution, there is an increase form. So just print that off, fill it out, and you can email it to Annette, and we will take care of it from there. She will get you. She will get the form to the area chair, whichever area you're on. They'll call you up. They'll talk you through it's an EPP website, how to get that done, and she will. They'll get you signed up. It's payroll deduction, not a problem, but it's extremely important. So we need all the participation that we can. This money is used. It's not a bipartisan deal. It's for those. It goes both ways. It's just we're supporting those legislators that are supporting us. So it helps us, helps Hunter to get in the door. If they know that there's a contribution there, then there is that's just the way Congress works. It's like it or not, that's what drives Washington is contribution funds. And so this is how we become a player at the table. Because if we're not at the table, then we don't get these benefits. And I'm going to tell you, some of the things we've talked about early in our legislative session, all those millions of dollars for temporary employees and just the extra money to help us administer programs, those things don't just happen accidentally. So that is a direct result of your membership helping us to have Hunter to work for you and our PAC dollars at work. So it is important. You know what? If you're contributing $3, $5 a pay period, I promise you, you will never miss it. And it will collectively, it makes a huge difference. So that's just what I wanted to finish up with on the PAC. And hopefully we are ready to go to Hunter. I'm going to turn it back over, hopefully, to Clint, and he'll give us an update on where we're at. or not. I think he must still be working with Hunter to try to get him online. Anyone else, any of our other chairs got any comments that you'd like to add while we're trying to get Hunter added? Annette?
I already talked once. Let me think. While I do balance the account every 2 weeks, I guess I'm in a little bit more of an advantage. I do get to see a lot of the hard work that Hunter does, along with balancing those contributions from the pay periods. I also reconcile the checks that Hunter does. So trust me when I say that he makes connections every week, several every week. Someone once asked, or I think the question popped up here is, what's the money used for? And I think Hunter will speak more to that when he comes on. And I really want to tread lightly here, but Hunter has NASCO's best interest at heart. And so whether we understand it or not, Hunter is working for us in mysterious ways is probably the best way for me to say that. And so while we might not understand a contribution he's made to a certain person on the Hill, Hunter has a very good reason for doing so. So I was fortunate to be in part of that team that found Hunter and brought him on. And I can't say enough. Hunter's a fantastic lobbyist for us and does a fantastic job.
Thank you, Annette. Clint, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, I'm going to see if y'all can hear Hunter. He's having some technical difficulties, so.
All right, hold on. What in the world, man?
So y'all can hear him really well, just then. Let's just.
Well, today wouldn't have been complete if we didn't have a few technical difficulties, right? So we might as well save them for last.
I'll help you guys out for a minute. For those of you who don't know Hunter or haven't met him, you're really in for a treat because he really does know his stuff. And I met him for the first time at the All West Rally in San Francisco. And I decided to test him a little bit. And I said, oh, hi, I'm Jesse from Nebraska. Just curious, what do you think of our senators? And he knew who they were, and he knew their names, and he told me exactly what he thought, what they'd be good at, what he didn't know about them. And I was just surprised that by dropping the name of my state, he knew who my senators were. One of them, I think he has a really close relationship with. And I know that when people on the Hill have heard that we're working with Hunter, they're definitely impressed because he's well known. So he's definitely been an asset to NASCO.
Thank you, Jesse. It's Jesse, I'll get you to go back to mute. And there goes Mr. Hunter Moorhead. Welcome to the party, sir. Okay.
Hunter, I think you may be, your microphone's not working. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not showing on mute, but.
All right, how about now?
Now it's working.
Holy cow. Okay. We're getting closer by the minute. Closer by the minute here. All right, are we there?
You are ready to take it away, sir.
All right, I'm seeing a screen with a bio. Is that what I should be looking at?
You should be live.
All right, hold on. Oh, wow. Here we go. Are we getting there?
Hunter, we were seeing you first. Now we're seeing your sunglasses.
I know. Hold on. I'm backwards for some reason. I'm complete. My screen turned around. Okay. How about now?
That looks good.
Holy cow. This is, forgive me. Please forgive me. Man, oh man. Okay. I don't know what I should be looking at, but I'm seeing, yeah, here we are. I'm seeing a few people on the screen. People are dressed up. I don't have a tie on. I apologize. But our first virtual convention, I take it. Let's just assume it's working now. All right, Neil and Clint, if you nod, I'll just take off and start talking. Do we know how many people may be listening in by any chance?
Hunter, we've got 56 attendees right now, plus the faces that you see, which is the legislative committee, and Rick. So
Perfect.
You're ready to go. It's all yours. We appreciate you getting on here. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No, look, it's me. I think when I had been joining before, I was an attendee and not a presenter, and I was thinking the thing was working just fine and this was going to be super easy. But that's okay. Here we are. Well, first of all, thank you to all the folks on the line who have joined. Sorry we're not together, but we're actually lucky that we're able to pull this off, to be quite honest. Most people have canceled conventions and such, and this is important, and I'm glad we could find a way to make this work. And the leadership at NASCO, they deserve a big round of applause for getting us all together. So we're all here during difficult times, and we're going to make the best of it. So to begin, obviously, you all know we're in a hot and heavy election cycle. The Trump administration is still very focused on agriculture, even though it's getting more political by the day. I would first tell you the FSA crowd and the leadership of the department is very focused on delivering the $16+ billion that was provided during a previous COVID relief package. I hear they're making some changes to that. If you're a farmer, you would say that's getting better. And what I mean by that is allowing people to qualify for quality loss adjustments and allowing new crops or products to qualify for assistance, which is a very positive thing. The other thing I'll tell you is we've obviously got the Republican convention underway this week. The Democratic convention was last week. So the Hill itself has been pretty quiet. They're trying to let Donald Trump and his team enjoy the limelight for the whole week. It looks like the hurricane is going to shift the news a bit. But I don't know if you're watching every night, but it's live television in a new virtual format. So everybody is shifting. But they've moved to full campaign mode for this week for sure. The other thing I want to tell you a little bit about is the pathway forward for the current administration. Obviously, COVID and COVID relief is the huge priority right now. They're working on, trying to find a vaccine that's workable. I don't have a clue when that's going to happen. Different time frames are thrown out there. Some people say the end of the year. I would remind you, if there's a vaccine available at the end of the year, the folks on the Hill are telling us It doesn't mean we're going to get it. We're not high risk. We're not, first responders. We don't work in nursing homes. So depending on the availability and the supply, we may go well into next calendar year without access to a vaccine and that type stuff. So that's a top issue. The other issue you're going to hear about a lot during the campaign season from the Trump crowd is the economy. I will tell you, the guy had the place on fire right until COVID hit. You can argue that the Paycheck Protection Program and other things for small businesses has been successful. You can argue that the stock market has not taken a real dip like people expected. But there are a lot of sectors of the economy that are really in trouble. Travel, tourism, restaurants, you can name them all. So they're going to stay focused on economic recovery and talking about how great the economy was before COVID. The other thing I'd tell you is the whole law and order conversation. The stuff that's going on in Wisconsin, to me personally, is uncalled for and frightening, to be quite honest. So I think throughout the week at the convention and going into the fall, this law and order conversation is going to be pretty hot and heavy. The one other one I'll mention is China. The president is really focused on China and some of the national security threats that we face when it comes to China and our Department of Defense programs and apparatus. So that's kind of, COVID, economy, law and order in China, that's kind of going to run the show for the next couple of months here. When you shift over to the Biden-Harris team, I will tell you most of the polls have Biden and Harris ahead. If you ask me who's going to win, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I made that mistake during the last presidential election in 2016. I bet David Curtis that Hillary Clinton would win, and I'd buy a mistake if she didn't. And as it ended up, I was buying the steak, which was perfectly fine. Didn't really bother me. But the Biden and Harris team is off and running. I will tell you that there's a bit of a struggle within the campaign between Secretary Vilsack, who we all know well, and Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren is sending out a lot of, I'm going to say, letters to ag companies talking about consolidation in the ag industry. She recently sent one asking a host of companies to describe how they're treating their employees in this COVID environment. I think she was asking that of a lot of the livestock community. So there's a little bit of tension between the Secretary Vilsack crowd that's in production agriculture and the Senator Warren crowd that's more focused on concentration and a few other things. I don't know who wins the day, but that's the current ag specific conversation. The other thing I'll say that will continue to get a lot of press is Senator Kamala Harris. This is the first female of color to be part of the major party ticket. I think they're going to continue talking a lot about that. It's very important, and that's going to be one of their main lines. The other line for Biden and Harris is Build Back Better, the 3 Bs. Between now and November, if you turn your television on, Build Back Better is something you're going to dream about in your sleep, because that's what they're going to say from here to Election Day. The Build Back Better plan is focused on a couple of things. One, jobs for working families, racial equality, and 21st century care, and the education workforce, contributing more to the education workforce. And the final piece, I say the final piece, one of the final top pieces is clean energy. We've heard a lot about clean energy from various presidents and various people in the political world. They're getting real serious on clean energy. They've got a new plan that came out today, which if anybody wants it, I can send it around. But that's going to be what we're focused on for the next few months if you enjoy the political conversation. As I said before, don't ask me who's going to win. I don't know. I would say the Trump campaign is probably in better shape if you look at the polls in the specific states that matter, those swing states. They're in better shape today than they were a month ago. And I could argue that they're not in worse shape than they were in 2016. But I do think Trump's got a few problems that he's got to overcome. I don't know how many people are going to come vote. I don't know how vote by mail will impact this. But that's the presidential race in a very short little summary there. The next thing I want to talk about is the Congressional Schedule. We're obviously, during the month of August, the members of Congress go to their respective states and they spend time on the campaign trail and doing town halls and that type stuff. That will continue unless there's a breakthrough on another COVID relief package. As you all know, that's been going on for a few weeks now. To be honest with you, the Senate has not passed a bill yet. The House passed the HEROES bill, had a lot of money in it. The Senate has a proposal, but today they do not have the actual votes needed to pass it. So on the House side, they called it the HEROES Act, and there was a lot of stuff in there. This is a $3 trillion bill, but it provided a lot of assistance for livestock and dairy, specialty crops, commodities, and they also took the CCC authority and they expanded that to allow more people to qualify under the CCC. How wide that could go, we won't know until there's an actual bill agreed to and signed into law. But the concept is, let's allow food processors, let's allow beef processing plants and those workers to qualify and get at this sweet spot where fruit and vegetables have contracts with restaurants and such. And these people, due to COVID and restaurants closing, they took a pretty serious hit. So there's some expansion to CCC there. The other thing I'd tell you is the HEROES Act. I mentioned the $3 trillion number. We don't have an agreement because that's just a little too much for the Senate to swallow right now. There have been negotiations, but we're not there yet. And when it didn't come together, the Senate then introduced what was called the HILS Act. So we've got HEROES and HILS. The HILS Act has not yet passed the Senate, as I said, but it would provide $20 billion in direct funds to the Secretary's office to be delivered as he sees fit. I highlight that because it doesn't go through the CCC, which is a completely different method for delivering the assistance when compared to the House. I don't know how that's going to shake out in the end. I don't think it'll be a huge fight. Some people will not want to give the Secretary that authority to spend as he sees fit. Some people will not want to expand the CCC any more than they already have. And that doesn't necessarily fall on party lines. It really starts to fall apart when you talk about people who have a better understanding of agriculture and what the CCC is used for, and those who want to give $20 billion to the Secretary so he can deliver that assistance as quickly as possible. I will tell you, in the Senate bill, we had a really good outcome in the draft. We've got $76 million for Farm Service Agency salaries and expenses. That would be in addition to our annual appropriations amount. So it would be a really nice shot in the arm if we were able to get that $76 million. what that money would be used for, it's a little bit flexible, but I think 99% of it or more would go to hiring employees for FSA to deliver these programs. There is a conversation about most of that money going to temporaries. We can argue that with the department when the time comes. But getting the $76 million in the draft bill coming out of the gate was huge for us. It would really solve a lot of our problems. So what are the arguments about today between the House and Senate? Number one is liability reform. The Senate wants language that protects companies and small businesses from any liability related to COVID relief. It's a sticking point in the end. I think it gets in there without much of a problem. The next big issue is payments to states and municipalities. The House side wants billions of dollars for grants to states. The Senate has not agreed to that, and they really don't like that that method of delivery because it's straight cash to states that some will claim don't deserve it. They created their own problems through government pensions and that type stuff. So there are a lot of people in, representing more rural states that don't want to send money to California, Illinois, and I'd say New York and Florida, maybe. That's really, I'm not picking these states off the top of my head. That's what the arguments they're going to talk about: New York, Illinois, California. That's just where we're going to go with that. Why have we not gotten a deal on this yet? I think both sides think the polls are looking good. If you're House Democrats, you're looking at polling and you're saying, we're in really good shape here. Why would we give President Trump and the Republicans in the Senate a win on a big COVID relief package? If you're the Republicans right now, you're saying, you know what? The numbers for Trump have improved over the past 12 days, and we don't really want to spend $3 trillion anyway. So why are we doing this? In the end, I think there will be another package. I think it'll be smaller. But at some point, I do think they'll reach an agreement. The next thing I want to talk about is the appropriations process, something that we care about on an annual basis. The House has marked up their appropriation bill and passed it across the House floor. In that bill, the Farm Service Agency Business Center would receive an increase of $12.6 million. That $12.6 million is an increase over last year's enacted number. For Farm Service Agency salaries and expenses, we would receive a $32.2 million increase, which is really good news for us. I will tell you, if we end up getting the 76 in the COVID relief package for the same purpose, I've already been told don't be too greedy and ask for that full 32. So just keep that in mind. But getting a $32 million increase over last year, it lets me know, and it should let you all know, that our message about the need for new staff and hiring more people, it's sinking in with the Congress. They are listening, and I think they're trying to help. The one other thing I'd say is all the language writers that we've had in the past, they're still in there. County committee money being available, closing offices, shifting employees, stuff like that. They continued all of that. On the Senate side, the Ag Appropriations Bill has been drafted by staff. It has not been shared publicly, so I don't know how to compare it to the House. It's probably not as good as the House. We just don't know yet. The Senate did not publicly release their bills, and they did not conduct markups because there was a lot of conversation about Senate amendments that certain senators that were up for re-election just didn't want to vote on. Kind of rude for me to say that, but I'm just giving you the full truth. when you bring up commerce justice and you're talking about funding the police, defunding the police, increasing money for police, courthouses, that type stuff, it could get certain senators on both sides of the aisle into some very sticky amendment votes that some of them just decided they don't want to take. So there's a good chance that the Senate committee will release their bill publicly and then allow the staff to start negotiating without having the bill actually pass the Senate floor. And that would give folks an opportunity to get past the election. The next thing that always comes up is a continuing resolution to fund the government. At the end of September 30, we're going to be facing another government shutdown. I assume there'll be a conversation about it. I have been told that the Senate and the White House have agreed to a continuing resolution through December 18. If the Senate releases a new COVID relief package that is something that's been agreed to and is moving, I would not be surprised if that December 18 date for the CR was not in there, hidden somewhere toward the back. So we continue to hear December 18 as the date for a CR to fund the government. And that would be a really good thing. Now, some of our NASCO priorities that I want to quickly discuss. Number one is this parental paid leave issue. I got to give Brandon and his executive team a lot of credit here. The Ledge team's done a lot of work on this. I don't know if we have this in writing yet. We have requested it, but we've gotten a determination from the Department of Agriculture that all the CO employees would be covered by parental paid leave. So that's a good thing. And to be quite honest, we were able to fix it that way before Congress had an opportunity to fix it. If we get an opportunity to clarify that in public law, we're going to try and do it. But it is good to have some, concrete determination from the Department of Ag that our CO employees would be covered. The other thing that I want to talk about is this temporary buyback. We've been working on this for a number of years, and that's unfortunate, but it takes a little time. Last Congress, we had a plan, and it was introduced and it was moving, but a lot of people complained about what I'll say is the penalty for buying back that time. You had to pay taxes on that. You had to buy that forward. During this Congress, we've gotten a new bill introduced that's a lot better for our employees. Unfortunately, it is not moving very quickly, but we've got it introduced. It's still on our plate, and we'd love to make it public law if we get an opportunity, but it hasn't happened yet. The one other thing I want to tell you, in all the years that I've been lucky enough to work with NASCO, this is as happy as I've ever seen anybody. And I don't know what's happened. I don't know if it's Neil and Clint. I don't know if it's Brandon giving you more information or not telling you what's going on. I don't know what's causing it, but we appear to be in really good shape. Our challenges are very obvious. We need to get these new employees signed up for NASCO. We need to get out of this virtual world so that we can have meetings again. Virtual's better than nothing, but nothing beats the face-to-face meeting where you all can describe what NASCO does, how we operate, the resources that we have, and what we accomplish for all of our employees. So if there's some problems out there, you need to speak up. It's been pretty quiet over the last 6 or 8 months, but I'll give Clint and Brandon, Marcinda, and the team, Neil, I'll give everybody else credit for that. The next thing, we briefly talked about the Congressional Schedule. They're going to be in for 2 weeks in September, may do a COVID relief package, will do a CR. October is going to be very light. They're going to go back to the campaign trail. It'll be hot and heavy. The week after the election in November, the members will all come back to DC. I don't know if the presidential race will be decided at that point. It looks to me like we're headed for a Supreme Court battle again. And we're going to use the U.S. Postal Service as the reason for that. But November will possibly turn into another Florida recount situation with the Congress back for a couple of weeks. And then in December, they'll hopefully wrap up all their business. And in the first week of January, the new Congress will convene. I'm bringing this up because in January, regardless of what happens, the Senate Ag Committee is going to look a lot different. Most of you know Senator Pat Roberts from Kansas. He is a longtime Aggie, a wonderful guy who's led every farm bill since I've lived in D.C. He was Freedom to Farm in '96 and was doing farm bills before then. He's decided to retire. I expect a guy named Roger Marshall to win that seat and serve on the Ag Committee. Roger Marshall is a huge fan of NASCO, maybe one of our biggest fans, and that'll be good to have him there. From a leadership standpoint on the Ag Committee, today it looks like John Bozeman from Arkansas would take over the Senate Ag Committee Republican leadership spot. If the Senate doesn't flip, that would make Bozeman from Arkansas the chair of the committee. If the Senate does flip, it'll look completely different, and I don't know who will chair the committee. Debbie Stabenow will be there. She may have an opportunity to stay there, but based on seniority and everybody having an opportunity to move around, I would expect her to stay, but she may have a new opportunity that I don't know about. She's working her way up from a seniority standpoint, a couple of places. But the Bozeman being the replacement for Roberts is pretty clear, and everybody expects that to happen. Now, the House Ag Committee, we could see significant turnover. Michael Conaway from Texas has led the Republican side of the House Ag Committee for a number of years. He's announced his retirement. And on the Republican side of the Ag Committee, it's kind of a three-way race between a guy named G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania, a guy named Rick Crawford from Arkansas, and a guy named Austin Scott from Georgia. If you made me pick today, I would feel very comfortable telling you that G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania is going to lead the House Ag Committee for Republicans. On the Democratic side, Chairman Colin Peterson from Minnesota has served on the Ag Committee for many years. He's one of our friends. He's very helpful. I will tell you his congressional race is super tight. I'm not saying he's going to lose, but I am telling you, if he were to lose, I would not be surprised at all. If that happens, number one, we're in a different situation because he is very close to us and has been very helpful. It would shift to a number of people who would then fight for that chairmanship. And some of those names are David Scott, who is a member from Georgia, Jim Costa from California out in the San Joaquin Valley. Jim Costa's, he's going to win, but he's in a tough race too. Marcia Fudge from Ohio. Marcia Fudge has been really good to NASCO. And I would be, I want Peterson to stay there because we've got that relationship. If Peterson has to move on, Marcia Fudge would be good for us. She has met with Brandon, pretty recently before COVID, understands who we are, understands what we do. And we're in there pretty good. The next person who could make it a race for the Democratic lead spot on House Ag Committee is Jim McGovern. But if you're asking me to pick, I'm going to probably say it's going to be Marcia Fudge if it's not Colin Peterson. That's my current thought. I could certainly be proven wrong. The other thing I want to mention is the PAC. Annette, you didn't see me, but I was hearing everything you were saying. I was just listed as a participant as opposed to a presenter. You did a fantastic job talking about that. We've been able to let the PAC funds build up recently. You know, when you're getting $30 million increases and $76 million increases, I try not to go cause too much of a stink because we're getting what we want. But we do use it. We're going to use it often. We will have new members of the Ag Committee in January. We'll need to use our PAC dollars to get in front of those people. Let them know who we are. Let them know who is in their congressional district. Let them know what we care about, and make sure we've got that relationship ready to go. As you know, Annette has mentioned earlier, a lot of people ask a lot of questions about the PAC. Why do we have it? What do we do with it? What we do with the PAC is make sure the people who support us and the people who support production agriculture have the resources they need to get reelected. Everybody in the ag world does this. Everybody in the political world does this. Our PAC is very strong for an agriculture-related PAC. It's certainly not the biggest, and it probably never will be, but it's hard to compete with some of the corporate entities in the agriculture world. So we're hanging in there strong. It has put us in a different category when it comes to who are the ag lobbyists. It helps us keep those relationships fresh. And regardless of what we think and how we feel about it, it doesn't buy a vote. It just gives us an opportunity to have that relationship so that if we ever wake up one morning and we've got some real problems, we're not going in trying to meet a member of Congress and then beg them to help us. We've already got the relationship established. Hopefully we've done the groundwork to tell them who we are and what we care about so that when we go in and make that ask, we can get a good response and get someone who's willing to pick up the phone or take a vote on our behalf. So that's what the PAC's all about. With that, I'm just going to say thank you all again for having me on. And Clint, you didn't tell me you were wearing a tie. I feel bad. But by the time I got the technical problems figured out, I decided I couldn't go run and reach in the closet and try to tie one right quick. So forgive me for that.
Perfectly fine. I'm only wearing one because Neil was wearing one. So
I understand. Neil is a ring leader, always has been. Clint, Neil, I'm going to turn it over to you. I've got all night to take questions. I don't know exactly how to see the questions. I see a chat, but I don't know that that's really what I need to be looking at, to be quite honest.
Hunter, what we're going to do is probably send. Look, we've got the questions over here on a Q&A.
Okay.
And David has been looking at those as well as Neil and I, and we'll just pitch some of these questions out to you that are for you. We do have a few there for you to answer. Also want to remind all the attendees that you can chat your questions in the Q&A. You can do that now, and we'll try to pick those up and get those for Hunter to answer. If there's somebody else that we have on the legislative committee that you would like to ask a question to, myself or Neil or an area chair, you can do that as well. So continue to chat those questions. I think, Hunter, you answered some of the questions that we have already, but I'll throw one at you that maybe you can be a little bit more specific at. And that is, can you give an example of how the association PAC has benefited membership in recent appropriations?
Well, I'll give you a few. Number one, when the House flipped from Republican control to Democratic control, we had used our PAC, because it's a bipartisan PAC, to build some relationships on the Democratic side, so that when Robert Adderholt, who had chaired that subcommittee for a while, moved on, when the new person came in, we had a pretty good long-standing relationship there, and there was no reason for, asking for meetings to do education on who we are. We didn't have to do a fly-in to bring in a bunch of constituents from specific congressional districts. We had already supported that side of the aisle too, and had them ready to go. We already had those relationships. That's one on appropriations. The other one I'll tell you, and I'll actually give Mark Van Hoos a little credit here for this one. He, through the PAC, built a pretty good relationship with Marcia Fudge, who I mentioned earlier, back when he was president of NASCO. Earlier this year, Marcia Fudge was listening to us and said, I continue to hear about these staffing challenges. I would like to have a roundtable discussion, and we may not invite USDA, but we want to invite a representative from NASCO, and who will that be? And had we not used our ability to support certain candidates and help them and build those relationships, I don't know that Marcia Fudge would have known anything about us. We got the call, we got the opportunity to sit at the table. Brandon flew to DC and basically testified at the hearing. So helping us with relationships, helping us be known, helping people know who we are and that we care and we matter. It all matters. I find it quite entertaining that some of the other employee groups at USDA call the department and complain because we get favorable treatment and we always get what we want, and they don't seem to get invited to some of these things. That's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, number one. Number two, NASCO decided years ago to make an investment in Washington, D.C. and get involved, and it's paying off. This is why you convince people to join NASCO. This is why you convince people to give their own, after-tax dollars to the PAC, so that we can get the phone call when decisions are being made. So that's my answer. That was a little longer than you probably wanted, but those are a few examples of where it has really mattered.
So Hunter, like Clint said, you've kind of answered some of these questions, but one of the things on here is there a minimum PAC amount that an employee can contribute?
There's not. It really works the other way. The ethics laws with the FEC, if you give over $200, you have to just be listed on the disclosure form. I think we've got members of NASCO who are doing, $5 a pay period. We've got some that are doing $2 a pay period. We've got some that, on an annual basis, they may send in, $500, one check, and they don't do the draw from their pay. So there's not really a minimum. I think our average is, I'm guessing here, so Annette can probably correct me, but our average is probably $3 to $5 per pay period where people are putting money into the PAC. Some more than that, some less. It may be a little low in that, I'm not sure, but that's my guess of kind of where we are. For a lot of people on this call, I'd say that's 2 cold beers a month. That's not a lot. So.
Thanks, Hunter. The next question is really about fiscal year 2021 budget. And I think you may have covered this. It is, do you know the status of the 2021 budget? And can't imagine a government shutdown in the midst of all of this. But you touched on that. What are the chances of a government shutdown?
I mean, based on what we're hearing today, very, very slim. I didn't think Congress would actually do a continuing resolution to December 18. In the 22 years I've been in DC, we've never done one for that period of time. But the members are having a little bit of trouble flying to and from their congressional districts. And I think cooler heads are prevailing, and people want to just get through the election, not have a government shutdown, not have all the drama that we've had in the past, and just kick the can to December 18th. That gives everybody time to negotiate a new omnibus bill, and it also gives everybody time to better understand how a COVID relief package would fund certain parts of the government and provide, less need or less pressure on the appropriators to fund similar activities. So I think the chances are very slim. December 18 is the date that we continue to hear. It's been the date for about 3 weeks now. It's just a matter of when they do it.
So Hunter, the next question is, what options could the Secretary consider to use to help employees be considered essential during a furlough? Examples be health programs or paid salary.
Are you talking about like a government shutdown or a COVID shutdown? I think we've learned that those are now two different things, if that makes sense. I'll say first, in being an essential employee during a government shutdown is the thing that we learned a lot about recently. In all the previous years, the Secretary of Ag never made a decision to keep certain USDA employees in the office. In the past, it had always closed, and closed means you don't come to work. This secretary made a decision that he wanted to try and service production agriculture, and that's why the Farm Service Agency was told to go to work without pay. Thankfully, our association is made up of people who like to work and are willing to work, and everybody pretty much went to the office and was not getting paid. Because of the way we are paid, we then were not compensated the way some of the other agencies were. We have had a number of meetings with both the appropriators and Colin Peterson about how you fix that problem next time. I think they are willing to do that if we get into a similar situation. They were going to introduce legislation to fix it, and the Congressional Budget Office said, well, this would really cost money because if the government closed and we weren't paying all these employees, we would then have to pay them. So in an annual budget window, a 5-year budget window, and a 10-year budget window, we have to assume that you would have to pay these people. So this would cost the government X amount of money. And the push to do that from a legislative perspective slowed down at the time. That was before Congress spent $3 trillion on a COVID relief package. So I get the argument about we don't need to spend more money, we're the government, but we've passed that so long ago, it's almost laughable. And I know I shouldn't say that, but that's my personal opinion. So I'm gonna say it's still on the screen. But, I thought we could get some standalone legislation to fix that. And when CBO announced that it would cost a lot of money to do it, everybody kind of got cold feet. So if we get the right package moving, maybe we can slide it in there.
Thanks, Hunter. The next question is, have you heard much about the progress with the modernization of acreage reporting for FSA?
About 2 weeks ago, I was on a call and this came up. I am told that the acreage reporting tools are moving in the right direction and they're ready to go. And the department believes that all of our CO employees and our people, if you will, are happy with the new plan. I actually think a lot of the pushback is actually coming from some of the longtime career workers in the DC office. That's what I've been told within the past 2 weeks. I did not ask for that information. That was given to me. So if we have some specific ask that we need to make of the department, we need to know that so we can raise it. But I think it's moving in the right direction from what I'm being told. And if there's a problem, somebody needs to speak up soon.
So Hunter, before we go to the next question, you're getting a little love from Mississippi. They appreciate your hard worwork.
I love it. I love it.
So the next
I've been
question.
real nice to our state director lately. I like him a lot. He's a good friend, has been for 20 years. When he started moving folks around, we got off to a really rocky start, but we're back. We're nice now.
Good. Next question. Should we be concerned with future budgets beyond 2021? It seems this fiscal year, the door has been wide open with spending. Whatever we want, we're getting, it seems. Not complaining, but worried about the future.
Short answer is yes. Once COVID is over and done with, there's going to be a push to try and address the deficit, I'll say. I don't know what it looks like. The truth is the members of Congress know if you don't go after entitlements, you are never going to address the deficit or the debt. They all know that. But I would agree. We've been on a pretty good run here lately. I never thought the Congress would spend $3 trillion in one bill. And then remember, it was a voice vote. They didn't even vote on it, and they spent $3 trillion. But we've never faced anything like this COVID-19 virus. So I think the question is a good one. I don't think it matters who wins the presidential race. We're going to have that conversation. So that's a really good forward-looking question. Hopefully we've got relationships and we got our pack humming, and we'll be able to get in there and fight and tell everybody we're more important than the other people who are getting cut.
Good deal. Do we have any other questions that anybody wants to chat in? Do we have any questions from our legislative committee or Rick? Anybody else that's joining us as a presenter? Feel free to ask Hunter any question you like. Hunter, just to add to what you said earlier about the temporary buyback bill, how good do you feel about the temporary employee buyback bill and finding some avenue to get that passed in the future?
I don't think there's a lot of opposition to it. I think it needs more focus. There are not enough members of Congress willing to co-sponsor that bill yet. It just, right now in the COVID times going into the election, I don't see enough urgency to get it done yet. That's just a very honest assessment of where we are. I think we need a little more time and a little more effort to get more people on board to get it done. Knowing that's not what we want to hear, but I'd rather tell you the truth and tell you there's a chance we can get it done by the end of next month.
Hunter, it's getting late, but we got one more question here we'd probably take. This question is concerning pay scale. I'm just wondering whether there's been any discussion about updating our pay scale, especially for new hires, because we have to bring new hires on at such a low rate.
I will tell you that I'm gonna guess for 4 years, this group's been here almost 4 years. We have raised it every year as a way to put together an improved management plan for the Farm Service Agency. They have not acted on it. They don't appear to be willing to act on it. And you can catch the department saying, we're not getting the talent that we need from a new employee standpoint. And the answer is, well, it's hard to convince a 25 to 30-year-old to come and work at the Farm Service Agency for X amount of pay and benefits when they can make a lot more money elsewhere in the ag community. So they are aware of what we've talked about. We've been focused more on raising that top CED pay scale level than we have on the entry level. When we talk about the entry level pay, they get into, well, if you're trained to do this, you're this, and they start, I don't want to say confusing it, but they start talking about a lot more pieces parts. And we then explain to them how some employees will take a pay cut to get a different job, and they shouldn't have to do that. Or they take a pay cut and then they get different training and then they come back. And it really shouldn't work that way. So, Neil, I got to tell you, on the list, but hasn't moved with this administration. That's what I would say. And we've made that offer at higher levels of the department than you can even imagine.
Thank you, Hunter. Clint, do you have any comments you'd like to make before we close it out?
Just want to thank everybody for coming out and visiting tonight. I want to especially thank Hunter for getting on with us tonight and spending about an hour with us, I believe, and talking with us and informing us what's going on in Washington, D.C. And what he's doing for us. We can't reiterate enough how much those numbers that we saw earlier today in the presentation we presented with the appropriations over 2019 to 2021 have a big part to do with what Hunter is there in Washington, D.C. doing on our behalf. He works hard every day. He's on a call with us very often, informing us and the executive committee what's going on, keeping us up to date, and anything we need him to research, he's right there for us. So we really appreciate him and being open to anything we suggest and really pushing forward. So thanks for being on, Hunter. Sorry we had a little technical difficulties there.
It was all me. No problem.
Glad we were able to see your face and get you on. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Clint, Neil, and others. I don't take this relationship for granted. We got to keep working hard. We got to keep moving forward. I didn't see the department's presentation this morning, but I understand Peggy shared some employment numbers, and we're moving in the right direction. which is not what we were doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I just need them to keep pedal to the metal, and let's try to catch up as quickly as possible. So we're getting some movement, and it really took a long time to get there, to be quite honest. But the number, I was on a call, I'll just tell you, today at 11:45 with Roger Marshall, and the NASCO Pac was supporting him in his Senate race. And I didn't even bring it up, and he didn't know I was going to raise NASCO. But he brought up the number of programs that have been dropped in our lap, and we're told to implement. So the word's out there. These people know what we're doing. They know what we're talking about, and they know what we're asking for. It's just taking a little bit of time to get where we need to be, and it's a grind, but we're getting there.
Well, thank you, Hunter. It's been great to have you. I'd like to close out by really thanking those that joined us tonight. We thank you for for tuning in and your support, your membership. We can't do this without you guys. As Clint mentioned, Hunter is absolutely instrumental to the success of our committee and our association. And we thank him for all he does, and we're very blessed to have him. I would just like to take a minute for us to remember our colleagues that are in the path of Hurricane Laura tonight. If y'all would just say a prayer for those. I know some of our colleagues are having to evacuate, and they're in the path of that storm. So let's just remember those. So far it's been a great convention. We're winding up the first day. We have one more day tomorrow. We've made the best out of a bad situation, and I hope we've been able to bring this to a lot of people that otherwise would not have had the chance to participate in the convention. We're going to get through this together. We'll be stronger when we come out the other side. I, for one, cannot wait to see the other side. But I think we got a little ways to go, like Hunter said, but it's always great to have his insight, even though that vaccine may not be here quite as soon as we were hoping. But I'm sure that it will be a interesting thing to look back on in years to come and say, yeah, we made it through that, and hopefully unscathed. So I hope you and your families are safe. Tune in tomorrow. And God bless you all, and I hope you have a great night. Thank y'all.